Good evening, everyone. I'd like to introduce you to my good friend, tonight's co-host, Tara Craver, to KLRN podcast radio show, Remember the Fallen. Tara will be doing her show from Craver Studios, located in gorgeous Highlands County, Florida.
We are proud to claim the title of United States Marine.
Honor, courage, commitment. Tara is the widow of USMC veteran Tara Craver. Her husband passed in 2014. His death was finally deemed service-connected after his passing. Carl died never knowing whether his claim was approved or denied. But Tara, with determination and perseverance, continued her husband's fight, and after a 3.5-year fight, her claim was approved. Now, with passion in her heart, she continues to fight for all veterans. Tara is known for standing for justice for our veterans and their families against the Veterans Administration, so please sit back, relax, and get comfortable, and hope you enjoy tonight's shows.
Hey, everybody. Hey, this is Tara Craver, and thanks for tuning in tonight. What is today's date? July 14th. Oh, my Lord, I haven't done a show in about 6-7 weeks. Back then, when I did, it was sometime in May. I had told the listeners that I was about to embark on a very long road trip. Y'all know, most of you, that I am an advocate for any Marines and families and other veterans from different forces that were stationed or lived at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. A lot of you know that's the largest mass contamination in U.S. history, and that is one of the reasons why I'm doing this show. The knowledge is not out there. This little road trip, I left May 31st. Those that are not members on my Facebook group, Camp Lejeune Victims of Faces, you can go on there, and the first televised interview was done by Steve Andrews, WFLA, Channel 8 in Tampa, Florida. He kickstarted my Camp Lejeune Awareness Campaign. From May 31st, I left there. I don't have my itinerary in front of me. I usually record this, do this show from my home in South Florida. Tonight, I find myself in southern Georgia. I'm in transit at the moment on my way to South Carolina for a meeting. But neither here nor there, I'll get off on the wrong track. Like I said, I left May 31st. After there, that was on a Friday. I was in Montgomery, Alabama. I believe it was June 3rd. My goal on this over 5,000-mile trip was to spread awareness everywhere possible. This is my opinion, even though the VA insists that they have launched a Camp Lejeune awareness campaign. I'll get into that little subject later. There's nothing out there. I mean, just like I've said many times, if my late husband and I had known over 5 years ago, and we live in the state of Florida, which is number 2 to North Carolina, which is where Camp Lejeune is located, of having the most Marine veterans that went through Camp Lejeune. What is it, over 26,000, if I remember off the top of my head, living in the state of Florida. And if the information was out there, my husband and I never seen it, which is one of the reasons why I was doing this trip. Well, from Montgomery, I went on to St. Louis, Missouri, and we was in front of the Charles F. Prevost building located on Page Avenue in downtown St. Louis. I want to thank, and I know I'm not going to remember all the names, but the veterans, the widows, the family members that came down there to join me. I think there was 12 or 14 of us outside the federal building that day. Got a lot of roadside honks, and one or two come up later on, and asked about what the Camp Lejeune issue was all about. Of course, I had the flyers and informational brochures available, but it was a great day. I mean, we might have only spread the awareness out to the passerbys, but we were on a very busy highway, which was a good thing. I want to thank all my veterans and family members that did come out there to join me. One in particular I want to recognize. His name is Wellington. Oh, you're going to kick me, Hamilton Wellington Lemmer. He goes by Ham. He and his wife come out and joined me. Ham is currently dealing with a severe health issue. He has cancer. God love him. He was only able to come out for about 20, 30 minutes, but he did, and he come out and sat down just for anything, just to show his support. These Marine veterans that were out there, and there was a young lady, let's see, Dana, your last name, I want to say Wallace off the top of my head, had lost her husband, but Bob Partle that was out there, and of course, Dan and Tina Bailey. But like I said, there's so many to name. These veterans out there that have filed these claims, and when it comes to a claim with the VA, hands down, if it's a Camp Lejeune, if it's even related to Camp Lejeune, forget it. It's just not going to go anywhere. And this is what our plight is, and it's not just mine. I get great people out there to join me. I mean, this is just great because they're out there showing their support. They want to get the awareness out there. They want to try and help a family member or a veteran, giving them the information that obviously the VA is not giving them. But anyway, from St. Louis, it was about a week later, I was in Wichita, Kansas. Debbie Love come out there, God love her. I was by myself, so Debbie showed up. Debbie came out and joined me. We was across from the regional office there. The local news station came out. From there, I went to Oklahoma. Debbie Paul. Deb, you're great, girl. Thanks for putting me up for 3 days. I really enjoyed meeting you. Debbie and I got up, got our signs, and she wanted to go across the street from her local VA clinic located there in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which we did. We went and set up the banner and propped up our 2 chairs and held our signs and sat there and spread the awareness, as I said. Even one of the VA employees had come out, one of the nurses. I guess she was on a smoke break, but she come over and told us that she had lost her brother, and he was located at Lejeune, and it was unbeknownst to them. And, of course, I was giving out these buttons, just as for Camp Lejeune victims, and I asked her if she'd like to have one, and I thought she was going to tear up on me right then and there, God love her. But anyway, Debbie and I left, and the next day we were joined by Susan Chartier and Bill Klingenberg. Like I said, Debbie and I, and we were in front of the regional office in Muskogee, Oklahoma. Now, this particular afternoon was different, let's say. Considered, I did 5,400 miles. And of all the stops that I did, this was one that just sticks in my mind. The newspaper called the Muskogee Phoenix newspaper there in Oklahoma, Mr. Dwayne Smoot, he come out and did the interview. But there was Debbie, Bill, Susan, and I just out there, and of course with the banner and the signs. And well, the director came out while we were being interviewed from the regional office. His name's Jason McClellan. And of course he come up, he was real pleasant, introduced himself, and of course Bill Klingenberg knew him because Bill had retired from the VA, about a year, I guess it's been a year and a half. So they knew each other. But anyway, this Mr. McClellan looks at me And he said the question he had for me was, why was I in front of his VA office? They don't handle Camp Lejeune claims. And I said, well, what do you do then? He says, our call center inside the federal building, we direct veterans that call in or family members to resources. I said, you direct them to resources. My question to you is, why do you not have anything displayed in your building regarding Camp Lejeune? I even asked Mr. McClellan, don't you recall the memo that you received in April 2017 from the VA Secretary, Robert Wilkie? He said, well, unless the memo's right in front of me, he would need that to refresh his memory. I said, well, let me refresh it. If you would indeed had remembered, it was a directive order to display these posters and flyers and brochures within these VA facilities, spreading the awareness of Camp Lejeune. But like I said, he said he doesn't recall the memo unless it was there in front of him. Now, here's the funny part. When I asked him why he had nothing displayed in his federal building, of course he come right back at me and by saying, of course, he didn't have the memo or didn't remember it. Folks, I never went in that building. I didn't know whether he had posters up or not, but he felt the need to come back in defense that if he recalled the memo, that possibly, I guess, posters would have been hung. But neither here nor there. But from there, let's see here. That was Muskogee. Muskogee, where'd I go? I didn't go to Texas. I had to take that off my itinerary. But I ended up going to Albuquerque, and then I left there, and I went to Tucson. And I was there about 10 days. Me and a veteran's wife come out. In fact, there was two of them, Kathy O'Rourke and Laura Budgell, and Nora Keating, who was a Marine stationed there, came out and joined me. And Laura Budgell's son, Luke, was with us. And KVOA came out. I think it's Channel 4 out there in Tucson. But it was a good day. We sat up right across from the VA, across the road from them, in 113-degree heat. Thank God we found some sort of a tree. But I tell you what, we held our ground and we handed tough, and we did a good job. And we were able to spread some more awareness, and that's what this trip come down to. I'm going to stop right now. I'm going to take a little bit of a break here so you can hear from our sponsors. But please don't go away. I'll be back in just a few.
Sprint gives you the best of both worlds. A network built for unlimited and a great price. Our LTE Advanced network is now up to 2 times faster than before. And our total LTE coverage has increased by 30%. There's never been a better time to switch. Visit a Sprint store, sprint.com, or call 800-SPRINT-1 and make the switch to Sprint today.
Faster compared to 4G LTE. LTE Advanced requires a capable device. 4G LTE data coverage with roaming coverage and offer not available everywhere.
Hi, it's Jamie, Progressive's #1, #2 employee. Leave a message at the... Hey, Jamie, it's me, Jamie. This is your daily pep talk. I know it's been rough going ever since people found out about your a cappella group, Mad Harmony, but you will bounce back. I mean, you're the guy always helping people find coverage options with the Name Your Price tool. It should be you giving me the pep talk. Now get out there, hit that high note, and take Mad Harmony all the way to nationals this year. Sorry, it's pitchy.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Hey, this is Tara again. If you have a suggestion for an upcoming show, or you yourself would like to share your story, please contact me at Craver Studios, FLA@gmail.com. That's Craver, C as in Charlie, R-A, V as in Victor, E-R, Studios, S-T-U-D as in Delta, iOS, FLA, Foxtrot Lima Alpha, @gmail.com. And if you are a Facebooker, check out my Facebook page, Camp Lejeune Victims, The Faces.
Bring in your Players Club card from any local casino to 7th Street Casino and join the Lucky 7 Club and win up to $250 in free slot play based on the status of your casino club card. Once you're a member, you can play and earn additional chances to win up to $250 in free slot play.
Welcome back, everybody. As I was saying, what was I saying? You'll have to excuse me. Usually people get jet lag. I think I have highway lag. And like I said, I just got back about a week and a half ago after that 5,400-mile trip. And I left again this morning from South Florida. And I'm now in Georgia on my way to South Carolina for a meeting on Tuesday morning. But neither here nor there. I do want to encourage people to, if you'd like to be on the show with me, or if you have ideas, I would like you to share your experiences, whether they be positive or negative regarding the VA. And I would like some positive responses, if there is any out there, because there's so few. And I guess this is where I get outraged so much, especially with Lejeune. I guess I just don't want another veteran going through with what my husband went through. And I don't want another woman to go through with what I went through. Maybe that's why this has grown into such a passion with me. If you remember, a little while ago, I told you when I was in Muskogee, Oklahoma, a reporter came from the Muskogee Phoenix newspaper and did an article. When the paper came out the next day, I was able to get a copy. I don't have it in front of me, but what I did write and bring with me when I left Florida this morning was a quote. Evidently, the VA in Dallas, Texas, felt the need to call the Muskogee Phoenix newspaper. A woman by the name of Bobby, with an I, Gruner, I guess she's the deputy director, what do I have written down here? Deputy Director of Public Affairs, I think is her title. But in the newspaper, she quoted as saying, as an extensive campaign has been undertaken to educate veterans and their families about this issue. Those efforts have included a variety of outreach efforts. Now, this is coming from the VA. This is a rebuttal. VA has conducted an extensive national information campaign to help inform veterans and their families about Camp Lejeune health care and the disability benefits. This is what this Bobby Gruner, Deputy Director of Affairs in Dallas, said. She said that the one way they've been doing this, launching this national campaign, is by citing news releases, mass mailings, been putting information on web pages and on the internet, blogs, as she says, as an example. Now, Miss Gruner, if you would happen to listen to the show, my question to you, and please, I would love to hear from you. You can reach me at Craver Studios. That's Craver, C as in Charlie, R as in Roger, A, V as in Victor, E-R, Studios, S-T-U-D-I-O-F-L-A, Foxtrot Lima Alpha at gmail.com. My question to you, my husband was a few years older than me, and he was stationed in Lejeune in the early 70s. Obviously, he was in the Corps during the Vietnam era. This is where one of my problems I have with this supposed extensive national information campaign that you were quoted in the paper as saying the VA is released. My husband, like I said, was a few years older than me. He didn't even know how to turn on a computer. Now, I do know there's a lot of men and women in my generation and a little bit older that are computer illiterate. I mean, I've just learned how to use a computer, about 18 years ago, maybe, and I'm all self-taught. When I tried to get my husband to get on it, oh, heck no, that wasn't going to happen. He didn't even know how to turn it on, like I said. But if you're launching this national extensive information campaign and you're doing mass mailings, by the way, I haven't gotten a mass mailing yet, web pages, if a veteran or a family member does not know how to work a computer, how are they going to see your web pages or internet blogs, as you say, as an example? And what if these family members or veterans don't go to the VA for health care? What if they go to a private doctor because they're one of a few lucky that has their private insurance? Now, their private doctor's not going to have posters displayed because they obviously don't know about Lejeune. And, and being the largest mass contamination in history, it still amazes me. And the VA is, I'm sorry, hands down, y'all aren't doing enough. You're just not doing enough. Now, I did have a gentleman get a hold of me. I'm going to see if I can find it. He said he went to the VA the other day. You have to excuse me if my voice is changing. I'm trying to walk around and do this at the same time. He texted me the other day. Let's see if I can find him. Here he is. He says, Tara, I was just at the Columbus, Ohio VA, and I got a new veterans information packet, which contains Camp Lejeune toxic water information. Well, thumbs up, VA. This is the first time this has ever come to my attention. And then he did take a picture, and in this little packet, thumbs up again, VA, there is that health and disability flyer in this packet. But this is the first time anybody's contacted me about this. You need to get off the pot. You just need to. Lives are at stake here. And I do know that when it comes to claims, whether it's a Camp Lejeune claim or whether a veteran goes there and files an Agent Orange claim, I don't care what kind of claim it is. When a veteran goes to the VA to file a claim, why does the VA, why is it so hard? I mean, it's like trying to get a passport. I mean, except you don't need to draw blood in a passport, but it seems like that's the only thing that's going to get a claim approved is if we donate blood. The process should not be hard. These men and women signed on that dotted line to give you the freedom to be working at the VA in the first place. So let's do something. They're out there, they're fighting for our freedom. That's the reason, like I said, I can do this show and why you have a job. Now, these veterans, when they signed on that dotted line, they knew, especially the Vietnam era, they knew it's a possibility they might not come home. But come on, they have done their duty. Now it is the United States government's duty to pay them back for what they have done for us. Enough is enough. I do encourage a lot of you to tune in to some of the news stories that was done. Like I said, Tucson, KVOA, Tampa, or St. Petersburg, WFLA, Channel 8, Montgomery, Alabama. I apologize. My notes are in Florida. The Camp Lejeune Awareness was televised in their local news station in Montgomery, and so was Wichita, Kansas. And like I said, and then it was in the newspaper in Muskogee. There's another thing. I had another lady message me when I was going through this, and there's this extensive national information campaign that this Bobby Gruner in Dallas says that they've launched. My question is, now, I'm not going to name all of them because there is so much time in a show that I can do. We took a poll on my Facebook Camp Lejeune page. Here's states and cities and states where there is nothing about Camp Lejeune. Listen up. Birmingham, Alabama, Tucson, Arizona, Chico, California. I apologize on some of these names. Yukon, California, Daytona, Florida, Gainesville, Florida, Jacksonville, Florida, Carrollton, Georgia, Decatur, Georgia, Dublin, Georgia, Rome, Georgia, Boise, Idaho, Caldwell, Idaho, Rockford, Illinois. Oh my goodness, Jackson, Mississippi, Kansas City. I'm not going to name all of them. Tyler, Texas. I could just go on and on and on, and I could probably give you more than 100 more, Miss Gruner. But why do these places, with that directive order that the VA director gave a year ago, April, why are these VA facilities not doing more? That's my big question. And again, please, I would love for you to email me. Well, listen, folks, I got some other things I got to get done and get situated. I hope you enjoyed tonight's show. I know sometimes I get to babbling on about the VA, what they do, what they don't do. But I do invite anybody, and it can be discreet. We can get on the radio. We don't even have to say your name. And tell me what you think about your experiences that you've had with the VA. And you know what? Veterans Administration employees, I invite you to be on the radio with me. Help me out here. Tell me what I'm believing, what my opinion is. Tell me where I'm wrong. I would love to know where I'm wrong. So, like I said, you can get me at that email address that I just shouted out to you. But I would love to invite, like I said, anybody. Please email me. Be on the show with me. Help me out here. Help me spread awareness. And like I said, you can always find me on a Facebook group called Camp Lejeune Victims, The Faces. I'm going to run. I've got things to do. It's late. I have no idea what time it is. It is almost 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. I've had a long day. I've got a long day tomorrow and Tuesday. But I wanted to get the show in, kind of give you an idea what I did. I have met some fantastic people. I have to say that. I wished I had my notes with me. So many people that I want to recognize. And I did get to spend 10 days with my daughters out in Tucson. I hadn't seen them since a month before we lost their father. So that was a great reunion. I loved it with my girls. I had a ball. Now I'm back in Florida again, and that was 5,404 miles. And let me tell you something, at the age of 63, I think I'm feeling every 10th of a mile. Before I go, September 12th and 13th in Washington, D.C., we are having a 2-day CAP meeting. This is something that you don't want to miss. September 12th will be the actual CAP meeting, and it's going to be held at the Hilton Crystal City at the Washington Reagan National Airport. There at the Hilton is where it's going to be held. And like I said, that's going to be September 12th and 13th. If you were at Lejeune, whatever branch of the service you might have been in, if you have some unanswered questions, I invite each and every one of you to attend this meeting. Once a year do we have a 2-day CAP meeting. The second, you can sit in on September 12th, which is on a Friday, and listen to what goes on during a CAP meeting between the VA, ATSDR, and our CAP members. Then the 13th, it's actually opened up to the public where it'll be a Q&A type thing. Please, if you're able to come to Washington, D.C., September 12th and 13th, it would be a trip worth coming to. Listen, everybody, I sure miss talking to y'all and telling you my experiences. If I hadn't have left my notes at home, the show might have been a little bit more informational. But again, this is Tara Craver, and I do invite good and bad experiences with the VA. Help me out here, folks. Y'all have a good night. Please don't go away. I'm going to put some information at the end of the show. I will talk to you next month. Hopefully I will have some emails, and maybe I can get some of you veterans on the phone. I've got a couple that I want to do, and some stories that you actually would not believe. I mean, we have people dying of cancer, and the things that the VA is doing to these people is just totally flipping unbelievable. It's going to be a story you're going to want to hear. But anyway, y'all have a good night. Thank you very much for tuning in. This is Tara Craver. You have a good night. Talk to you next month. See ya.
Hello, I'm Hector Elizondo, Emmy Award-winning actor, and I want to talk to you about getting older. My body hurts, my joints ache, and sometimes I forget. I forget that doing all your own scenes for a movie isn't always the best decision. Especially when you're galloping side-saddle down a countryside road on a horse named Archibello, who seems to have only one speed, high. And pulling on his reins only seems to encourage him to go even faster. So, of course, my body hurts and my joints ache, but it's not because of my age. It's because I'm living my life. Oh, Archibello!
Don't let life pass you by. Take care of your brain health. It may just help you stay on top of your game.
As soon as this scene wraps, I'm going to kiss the ground, thank Archibello for his outstanding performance, feed him a carrot, and visit brainhealth.gov.
Find out how you can make the most of your brain as you age at brainhealth.gov.
Every day, 70,000 puppies or kittens are born in the U.S. Cute, right? Well, what's not cute is that half of all litters are accidents. And when a kitten has a litter of oopsies and a puppy has a litter of uh-ohs, pretty soon you have thousands and thousands of OMGs. And that leads to millions of pets being killed in shelters each year. But if 80% of people with pets say they believe in spaying and neutering, then what gives? Turns out that those sweet little fuzzballs can get pregnant sooner than you think. A lot sooner. But here's the good news. You can stop the accident before it happens. You just have to remember one number, 4, as in 4 months. When you bring home Maggie or Ruby or Puddles or Clyde, get them fixed at 4 months old. It can be old enough to get pregnant, and it's definitely young enough to make a difference. Prevent more. Fix at month 4. Visit fixat4.com for more information. Brought to you by Best Friends Animal Society.
Well, everyone, it's that time again. I do hope you enjoyed tonight's show. Be sure to tune in every Thursday night at 8 p.m. and join the host of Remember the Fallen, Dave Matthews, as he discusses other veteran issues. And remember, what doesn't kill you does make you stronger. This is Tara Craver, and I am 10-7.